Fried? Yeah. A lot to take in. But how do you feel about the material? How are you guys feeling? Like the thought of actually processing this, using it with clients. How are you feeling at the moment? Yeah? Simple, right? It's pretty simple, right? I mean, it doesn't mean there's a big difference between simple and easy, right? It takes practice, it takes a lot of practice before something becomes easy, but there are very few moving parts in this. It's not very complex, right? And that's actually what makes it such a powerful system, because you as a coach can get out of your own way and you can just focus on the core aspects of what this work is, instead of thinking that you have to have, as Jazz was saying, kind of the whole play amateur psychologist like some of the coaching certs kind of make it seem, or having too many routes that you can go down. Remember, like, it's very easy as a coach for you guys to become overwhelmed because there's like 1,000 things to think about. Like, each coaching session becomes the spinning of 100 plates. And you're going, oh, well, what is that question I asked 15 minutes ago that I need to go back to? And where does this particular answer, what route is that going to lead me down? You don't have to worry about that, right? You just kind of relax with the whole process and allow things to unfold in the way that they're unfolding. Be confident in yourselves to actually just, simply make it okay to backtrack, make it okay to make a mistake, make it okay. I would say expose your flaws, if you will, right? If as a coach you start taking a person down a route that you know is not in keeping with either the direction that we've been laying out here or your own beliefs about being coach, to say, oh, hold on, I just realized I was about to lead you, right? The amount of times clients have actually told me afterwards that they really appreciated that I told them, oh, do you know what, I felt myself kind of leading you there or instructing you. I don't want to do that, so let's go back. And later on they've said, I really like the way you were aware of what you were doing, that you were actually steering me in a certain direction. All right, so don't think for 1 minute that any of your, if you want to put it that way, your flaws are things that are going to have a client doubt you or kind of have less faith or belief in you. In fact, when you expose them, they believe in you even more. It's this weird paradox, right? You say, I didn't do that bit right, I kind of just want to backtrack. They love it, right? It's a much better way to be. Because actually, what clients don't want in their coach, they're not looking for a Superman or a Superwoman. They're looking for a human being who has a lot of the same fears, concerns, and flaws that they've got, right? And the more they believe that you're that, the more they'll open up to you. It's a weird truth. A first time ever coaching session with someone might be, for example, hey, Luca, thanks very, very much for coming today. I'm glad you took the time to come in. I understand that there's a whole bunch of stuff that you want help with. Right? Tell me, what is it that made you pick up the phone and say, hey, Dax, can I have a couple of hours of your time and work through? What is it that really brought you here today? What do you feel you most need help with? Thank you very much. What do you most feel that you need help with, right? Just that innocuous, that kind of easy, right? Future sessions normally kind of begin with a recap of where they were. Okay, Lucas, so last time you were here, we were speaking about this. You told me that some of the actions that you were going to take away were boom, 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 boom. How's that gone for you? Did you do them? Didn't you do them? What sticking points did you run into? It's just a really organic, simple process as opposed to kind of, being overly strategic. Like, this is a strategy, but you don't want to get overly strategic, because if you've got too many moving parts, you don't remember half of the battle plan, right? So quite simply, first session is, what brought you here? What is it that made you want to make the investment in a coach? What help were you hoping to get? Future sessions are, hey, last time we met, we spoke about this and you were going to. How did that work out for you? Simple, right? In the way that I do coaching, which I found, and the way that I teach my students, there may be a notepad there in the room. We tend not to use it very much, apart from really big, important things. And it's almost kind of showing the client that you found that bit really important, you're making a record of it. Most of our record keeping takes place after the sessions, okay? Which means that you want to think about most of the things that are being said to you in like bullet point form. What did we discuss today? Like, what were the barriers? What were the obstructions? What did we discuss? What was important about that? What were the action plans off the back of it, right? Here's why, because you've all been in a doctor's surgery, right? And you walk into the doctor's surgery and he's sitting there at his desk and he barely looks up at you and he's already right. Every word you say is kind of looking down here. Right? And then finally writes you a prescription and goes, oh, thanks, yeah, I'll see you next time, right? There's nothing that creates disconnect faster. Remember what I said to you? Do you remember kind of in the oxytocin slide? I said eye contact is really important for building up oxytocin and trust. You want to spend most of your time right here, right? Most of your time right here, like with eye contact, not some bizarre kind of weirdo eye contact, like drool coming out the corners of your mouth, but definitely making eye contact the whole time, right? Don't lick your lips. It just kind of looks a bit weird. Don't do that either. That kind of looks a bit weird too. But certainly not having your head down in your notepad for too long, right? It's really, really distracting. And remember, kind of every time you flick across to here, you're essentially in the past, aren't you? They're still rolling on with their conversation, but you're over here writing down something they said like a minute ago, right? Try and be present with them, like in the present, which is why keep the notepad there. What I do, if I'm ever going to write in the notepad, I actually ask them to pause for a second and say, do you mind if I just write that down just for a second? Because that struck me as really, really important. But I kind of pause them so that they know that I haven't kind of left them and I'm going to come back to them. Right? Try that as a technique when you're dealing with clients. If you have to write things down, just hit a timeout on it. Go, that struck me as really important. I just want to make a note of that. And then go, okay, let's carry on. Patience is an inbuilt prerequisite to coaching, right? But don't have a preconception of what patience means, because patience can actually be demonstrated in a single session or within a single question. Like if you just sit there and patiently await the client's answer, very often they'll reward that patience with a really, really good answer that will go much deeper than you'd have ever imagined possible in a single session, right? So the primary accelerant to trust is what? What do you think? What is most likely to develop trust really, really quickly? Sorry? Report, eye contact, what else? It's the first exercise we did. What was it? Non-judgment, right? The fastest, like if it actually really feels like Dax isn't judging me, he's just listening to me, right? He's not kind of trying to bend this information either way. So the more it feels like you're not being judged, the more likely you are to kind of perceive the emotion of trust, if you will, right? You go, okay, this guy's pretty cool. I've just told him some stuff. He hasn't overreacted about it. He hasn't tried to steer me in any direction. Okay, let me tell him some more. Okay, and now it becomes this kind of investment, reinvestment kind of thing, right? Because they invested a little bit of trust in you. They told you something. You didn't judge. You go, okay, I'll give you a little bit more now. Didn't judge. I'll give you a bit more, right? So don't have a preconceived timeline of how long it does take. Although I will concede that the pacing is different for everyone, and how fast they feel trust in you is going to be different for every person in this room, right? But it's far less a case of there was a finite timeline, right? It was interesting, like because Jazz, you said that you weren't ready to open up to some of that stuff, right? And it's not to do with well, actually sometimes it is to do with an individual, like the resonance isn't there, right? I call it the click, and that's a big part of being a really good coach, is developing the click. But the biggest part of the click, right, when two people click together, the biggest part of the click is that person isn't judging you. Because nearly everyone that you feel a disconnect from, everyone that you kind of go, didn't really resonate with Dax, because I was looking at you and I was making statements about you and making you feel judged, and you're like, okay, that's not cool. I don't really resonate with this guy. If I make it okay, you go, okay, yeah, I really resonate with him. Right? So don't actually look at ways to speed up trust. Just simply look at ways to speed up how quickly you can get rid of judgment, and the trust will accelerate by itself. Yeah? That makes sense? Yeah?